The White Scar's combat patrol, new character model and new detachment have just come out, and it's worth talking about. The White Scars are one of the more forgotten legions from the first founding chapters, which is a great shame because they actually have some really cool lore. They put up numbers in the Horus Heresy, and Jagatai Khan is really underrated. They are kind of known for being the token Asian legion, but I'm glad GW picked them to be Mongolians though, with their cool horse culture, and not any other Asian culture. Can you imagine if they based the Asian legion on the Japanese, and we just end up with a bunch of Marines charging forward in Toyotas and Hondas and shit? Actually, that would be pretty fun. So first of all, let's go through the White Scars combat patrol, and the first thing I notice is that you only get 10 models in it, which is kind of ridiculously low. Off the top of my head, I can't think of a single other combat patrol which has this little models in it. The Custodes one has 14, the General Space Marine one is really low, but at least that has 12, and 5 of them are overpriced Terminators with 2 Terminator characters, and even the old Grey Knight one with the Dread Knight also had 12, so why is this one so low? Usually, low model patrols have an abundance of elites or vehicles, which is what has happened with this one, but at least it makes sense for the White Scars and is very on theme. Anyway, this box will cost you £105 or $170 on the official Warhammer website, or you can pick it up through discount retailers at a discounted price. Moving on to what's actually in the box, first thing you get is Suboden Khan, who will cost you 115 points, and straight away this model looks really good. I do hope at some point we get Space Marine jet bikes like they have in the Horus Heresy range, but I love this model. He has a nice 12-inch move, which is the same as Outrider bikes, and he has 8 wounds, toughness 5 like bikes, and a 3+ save with a nice 4+ invulnerable save, and he can join the Outriders, which means the Outrider ability of Thunderous Impact transfers to Suboden when he's leading them, which will give his squad +1 strength and damage if they charged. His ability, Spear of Trigoras, which makes the unit shoot and charge after falling back or advancing, or a +1 to advance and charge if they've already got these active, in like a Stratagem or something. And his other ability is Skilled Riders, allowing his unit to move through terrain when moving, advancing, falling back and charging, which is super fun, but quite odd for a bike unit. I'll really quickly go over his weapons too. So he has that Onslaught Gatling Cannon tucked away in there with a normal stat line of 8 attacks, strength 5, AP 0 and devastating wounds, but his does hit on 2s, and he has a bolt pistol too. For melee, he has Stormtooth, which gets 6 attacks, strength 6, AP -2 and damage 2, with Lance to be even more effective on the charge, and also anti-monster and anti-vehicle 4+, which is nice too. Finally, he has a Power Sword, which gets more attacks but less strength and damage, and doesn't get Lance or Anti. You also get 3 Outriders at 80 points, which are the most fitting unit for the White Scars, and like I said before, Suboden can lead them, and I've already discussed their ability, which will transfer to Suboden Khan. They may struggle to hit tough stuff with their chainswords though, but say goodbye to the light stuff. Then you get an Impulsor for 80 points, which is a very nice transport unit, which is decently fast and tough for the points, as well as a bit of firepower. The firepower really depends on if you equipped it with the Ballistus Missile Array or Iron Hail Sky Talon Array for some nice anti-fly 4+, but can also have a Shield Dome for a 5+ invulnerable save or an Orbital Comms Array for a small chance at holding on to command points. I like this vehicle, but its transport capacity is only 7, so good luck trying to put a squad of 10 Assault Intercessors with a character in it if that's something you want to do for whatever reason. But it's good for carrying elites. Overall though, firing deck 6 is nice, allows you to disembark even if the transport has advanced, but you won't be able to do a charge that turn. It's just a decent transport, just to get you some bodies into the fight. Speaking of which, those bodies come in the form of 5 Assault Intercessors, which you also get in the Combat Patrol. For only 75 points, you get some nice objective grabbers with that target intercession ability. You can reroll a wound roll of 1, but if that target is on an objective, you just reroll the wound roll as a whole. The only downside of this unit is that a lot of the time, they could heavily benefit from a character to lead them, and they really struggle to hit tanky stuff, but I wouldn't call them unusable without a character. Then you get a White Scars transfer sheet, which is nice, and for my overall thoughts on the Combat Patrol as a whole, I think it's good. I really like all of the units that you get within it. However, I would describe this Combat Patrol as cheeky. Not the good kind of cheeky where your wife flashes you, but the bad kind. First of all, you only get 10 models, which again is a new record for how bad it is. Sure, the Impulsor is a big model, and even the 3 Outriders and Suboden are bigger models than usual, so I would be fine with it if it didn't come out at only 340 points. The Salamander one was 500, the Raven Guard 395 or 415, depending on how you build it. The Imperial Fist one, 535, and basically most combat patrols, especially Space Marine ones, are around 500 points. So where has this tiny ass number come from? They could absolutely fit something else in the box. Maybe 3 more Outriders, maybe an Invader ATV or Chaplain on a bike or something. It seems like the actual choices of what to put in the box is kind of limited because they wanted everything to be either fast or fit into that transport. So it'd have to be like a leader or something. But it also seems like they thought they could get away with it because of the larger models in the box. But when you have this limited models and points, there's no reason to not have something else in the box. Except for, them saving money. I usually defend stuff like this because combat patrols with this little points and stuff are cheap armies like the Astra Militarum, so it can make sense sometimes, but not with a Space Marine army. Also, GW hasn't put Suboden Khan for sale separately yet, meaning the only way to get him is with this box, which is also cheeky. I mean, it does make sense. GW wants to scrounge as much money as possible, but let's say you don't want anything from the box, you just want Suboden Khan, who would probably be like £30 to £35 on his own or something. You're going to have to pay 3 times that amount for the whole combat patrol if you wanted him. Anyway, rant over. This box is harder to use for other armies though, considering you get a White Scar exclusive character in it, and it's not really like you can kit bash him into anything else. But an Impulsor is always good to pick up, and the Assault Intercessors and Outriders are nice to have too. Let me know what you think of this combat patrol down below. The next thing I'm going to go through is the new White Scar Detachment called the Spearpoint Task Force, and like when the other first founding chapters got their updates, it's improved an already existing detachment in the Stormlance Task Force, and given it a version exclusive to the White Scars. I'm pretty happy this detachment got the buff because it made the most sense, already being pretty based on the White Scars, and I don't think I've ever seen this detachment be played. But it focuses on Space Marine melee, which many detachments just don't do. The core rule actually stays the same as the original Lightning Assault, it just has a new name now, being called Storm Swift Onslaught, which still allows you to advance and charge, or advance after you've fallen back, which is a nice detachment rule for a melee army, allowing any of your melee units to be far more fluid and reactive. Like the other updates though, it's also got a second detachment rule which is exclusive to a character, which in this case is Suboden Khan. It's called Wrath of the First Khan, and what it does, if Suboden's unit destroyed an enemy in the fight phase and you aren't within engagement range of anything else, you can move up to 6 inches. It's not a massive change, but it's an interesting one, and I can imagine this making his unit hard to deal with, which also fits in with the White Scar's aggressive doctrine. And it also sort of reminds me of Corsaro Khan, the only other White Scars character, who gains command points when he kills enemy characters. It's just a very aggressive style of play, and I'm all here for it. Now, let's go through the enhancements, and it would appear that 2 have been changed and 2 have remained the same. The 2 which are the same are Stormseer's Wisdom, which is the same as the old Portents of Wisdom. It costs 15 points and allows your unit to reroll advance moves. It does work in this detachment because you do want to be really mobile, but I can't see it being all that useful. The other enhancement, which hasn't really changed, is Togorian Huntmaster, which is the same as Hunter's Instincts, which allows your mounted unit to arrive from strategic reserves 1 turn earlier, which is a good enhancement and would allow your mounted units some really nasty early charges. But the only mounted unit in the White Scars roster is the Chaplain on a bike, because Suboden still can't have the enhancements, and it also costs 25 points. The first new enhancement isn't really that new. It's Spearpoint Paragon, which is mostly the same as the Stormlance's Fury of Storm, and it improves the model's strength and AP of melee weapons by 1, but if you charge, then it's plus 2 strength and plus 2 AP, which is really nice considering you'll probably be charging most of the time with this army. The only change is that the old Fury of Storm was locked to mounted characters, which would literally only be the Chaplain on the bike model, but this new one hasn't got that restriction, so it's far more usable, and it's a really good enhancement, but it does cost 25 points, which is on the more expensive side. The final enhancement has replaced Fainting Withdrawal, which allows you to shoot if you fell back. The new one is called Hunter's Eye, which gives you ranged attacks, sustained hits 1, and ignores cover, which is a handy enhancement to have, because even though this is a more melee central detachment, it's nice to get some buffs for your shooting side, because I doubt your whole army would be just melee. This also pairs really well with captains for those free stratagems, or maybe lieutenants to get those lethal hits as well. On to the stratagems now. They're pretty similar to the original ones too, but I'll go through them as quickly as I can. The only stratagem that was completely lost is Full Throttle, which was a 2 CP stratagem which made your vehicle units auto move 6 inches when it advanced, or your mounted units 9 inches, which would basically guarantee your charges, but at a pretty steep cost with those 2 command points. This was replaced by the new Withdraw and Regroup stratagem, which allows your mounted or fly vehicle units not in engagement range to return to strategic reserves for 1 CP, which is useful but kind of restricted by only covering mounted or fly vehicle units, but it makes sense and is good for utility, and I may just be underestimating it. The next few enhancements haven't been changed at all, so you've got the classic Armor Contempt to worsen the AP of enemy weapons by 1 to help keep something alive, and it's nice to have if you need it. Then you've got Evasive Maneuvers, which is the same as Ride Hard, Ride Fast, which for 1 CP allows a mounted or fly vehicle unit to be -1 to hit and -1 to wound, which is a great stratagem for defense and will help keep some Outriders alive, which are annoying enough in this detachment with Suboden Khan already. There's also Hunter's Instincts, replacing Wind Swift Evasion, which for 1 CP allows one of your infantry or mounted units within 9 inches of an enemy to move 6 inches, which can be a really good stratagem to get you away from being charged and I suppose shot at too, and it works really well in this detachment. The final 2 stratagems are similar but have been slightly changed. There is Mobile Lethality, changed from Blitzing Fusillade, and it gives you advance and shoot with the assault keyword, plus fallback and shoot, which it never used to. But the old one was, if you were already firing an assault weapon, it will give you sustained hits 1. It's probably a slight improvement though, because it would be more usable across the board, and this stratagem interestingly works really well for Suboden Khan, because if you think back to before, when we were talking about his Spear of Jagoras ability, then this will give him +1 to his advance and charges. The final stratagem is called Spear, Thrust and Saber Swing, and has replaced Shock Assault, and it used to only be for mounted units and give them reroll charges and the lance keyword, but now it gives any unit lance or lethal hits, or both if you're a mounted unit, which is pretty much just a fat buff, especially for bikers, because they can't hit tough stuff much, and I doubt you'd need to be rerolling charges in this detachment with your bikes, because of all the movement and advancing stuff anyway. You just never really need it, so it's a W buff. My final thoughts aren't too interesting. The detachment is just a little buff to the original, and it will help White Scar's players just that little bit more. The combat patrol won't get you too many points onto the table, which is disappointing, but at the moment it is the only way to get Suboden Khan, who is pretty central to this new detachment. I just really wish the White Scars got some more models, because bikers are basically non-existent in 10th edition, because your only options that remain are Outriders and the chaplain on a bike. I hope in the future we do get a Space Marine jet bike unit though, or just like add some exclusive White Scar bike units. Hell, it wouldn't even have to be a bike unit, just add something like a Stormseer, which are exclusive to the White Scars already, but it hasn't been blessed with a model yet. At least this detachment sort of helps melee, and not just the mounted units though, so it does allow you to have far more workable options in this detachment at least. Overall though, I'll have to leave it there. If you did enjoy this video, subscribe to make me finish, which will be white and may or may not scar you. I don't expect this video to do well, but I sort of have to finish this little sub-series with these pesky first founding chapter detachments that keep popping up, but personally I do enjoy talking about them, so stay tuned for one more on the Iron Hands, hopefully soon. I know this one was a little late, because I'm just a tad busy at the moment, and the Iron Hands one will probably be even later. My bad. But yeah, peace out.